All right, let's quickly recap what you learned about arrays in the first part of this course. We use arrays to store a sequence of objects in memory, like a sequence of numbers, strings, and so on. Here's an example. We're going to declare an array of integers called numbers. So always use plural names for your arrays because they store more than one object, okay? Then we type square brackets, and inside the brackets, we specify the size of the array, like 5. Now we have space for storing 5 integers in memory, right next to each other. We can access these individual elements using an index. So the index of the first element is 0. We can set that to 10. And the index of the last element is the size of the array minus 1. So in this case, 4. Now in C++, unlike many other languages, we have to be careful with these index values, because if we type an invalid index, we get a little warning, but our code still gets compiled. So if instead of setting this, we simply print it on the terminal, look, we get this random value. So there is nothing to stop us from accessing elements that don't belong in this array. We have to be careful about that, okay? Now, instead of initializing individual elements like this, we can use a brace initializer. So we set this to braces, and here we can type values like 10, 20, and so on. Now, in this case, we have space for 5 integers, but I have only provided 2 integers. So the first 2 integers are going to be 10 and 20. The others are going to be 0, okay? Now, if we know all the values ahead of time, then we don't have to specify the size of the array. So we can remove this and let the compiler infer the size of the array based on the number of elements we have provided. In this case, our array is going to have 2 integers. Now, what if we print the array itself without accessing an element using an index? We are not going to see our values. Instead, we're going to see this hexadecimal number, which is the address of this array in memory. This is called a pointer. We'll come back to this again and again. So that's pretty much what we talked about in the first part of this course. Next, we're going to talk about determining the size of arrays.